right, welcome to the Church Dropout podcast. My name is Alan. I'm the host. Church Dropout is a podcast. We talk about issues, topics, and teachings related to faith, life, and culture in ways that are sometimes funny, sometimes serious, but always insightful. If you have not already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below. Keep the conversation moving forward. And as usual, I am joined by my lovely wife,
Lisa.
And we just want to, this is a bit of a quick hitter. This is really just, I guess, to bring a little bit more exposure, I guess, to this. And to, I guess, even get us as Christians to think more globally. I think one thing that we suffer from in the American church is everything centers around America and what's happening in America, right? And so the temperature of the kingdom of God is decided by what's happening in America. At least that's the way we American Christians think about it, right? If God is on the move in the world, it's on the move because there's a movement here, right? If God is judging, it's because America's in judgment, you know? But the kingdom doesn't just consist of the United States. The kingdom, you know, crosses borders, ethnicities, places, people, regions, all of that stuff. And as Christians, our prayer should not just be centered on our nation. It should be centered on the kingdom and other nations. One thing I do want to just really point out real quickly, when Jesus told the disciples, when they said, teach us how to pray, you know, sort of like, you know, like Dougie, you know, teach me how to Dougie. That song was, how old is that song? It just brought, you know who popped in my head when I did that? Was that girl Gabby. You know, the gymnast, when she was like, you going to do a dance for her? And she tried to Dougie, and boy, that was heartbreaking. Oh my god, Gabby Douglas can't dance. But anyway,
you said it, not me.
I know. That's a bad one. But anyway, so when the disciples asked Jesus to teach them how to pray, you know, he starts with the idea of God being our Father, right? And one of the things that demonstrates, there's plenty of theological implications there, but one of the theological implications is that we're not only children, like we're not God's only child. And we address him as our, within mind that there are brothers and sisters who are also petitioning him. Right. And so we have siblings. And when you think about that prayer, Jesus teaching his disciples to pray, and then they scatter out and they share the gospel, but that prayer or a form of that prayer is going to be said by Christians in various places, in various languages. And they're all saying our Father as we're addressing God. And so, you know, we got to have a global perspective here, you know. And so one of the things that we wanted to just look at and read a couple things on is the GCR Red List. And GCR stands for what, Lisa?
Global Christian Relief.
Okay, Global Christian Relief. And they do this every year. They put out a list and some infographics of the most dangerous places for Christians around the world, where the majority of persecution is happening. And they put data and research behind it and numbers behind it. And this is really important. And I think it's important for expanding our mind to what's happening in the global kingdom, but also helping us to understand how we ought to pray. And how we ought to think about supporting. Right? Because there are missionaries who are living in these places and go to these places. And so we should really think it through. So anyway, we just want to read a couple things here for this. So this is the Red List, right? Spotlighting the worst nations for Christians today. The infographic below is GCR's visual depiction of the 25 worst nations for Christian persecution. And this is specifically being persecuted for and because of the name of Christ. Clear. Right? Discover which countries are the top 5 worst offenders across 5 categories of concern, including killings, building attacks, arrests, displacements, and abductions and assaults. You know, I was just thinking about this too. You know, when I see and hear things like this, you know, I go back to what Paul said about, you know, Christians us as followers of Jesus, we don't fight against flesh and blood, but against spirit and principalities. And you think about this stuff that's happening in a lot of these places that we'll get to, but then you think about the other things that are happening also in a lot of these places. You start to see that there is true spiritual warfare that's happening.
Yes.
Right. You know, we and again, I'm not trying to diminish anything that we're going through, but for us, spiritual warfare is someone not, you know, keeping us from getting a job, right? This is like darkness and evil that is persisting in places. This is tearing down the strongholds. Like this is like real stuff here. And when you see some of these numbers, you're like, wow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, so we'll read, I'm going to pull something up real quick. So we'll read here, listed in white are the number one worst offenders within each category, as well as the
verified count of their persecution incidents as recorded in the violent incidents database during a reporting period spanning November 2022 through 2024.
Right. Several nations are egregious offenders, making multiple appearances on the GCR red list. Read on for full details and insightful analysis and more. Okay. And so this is just an overview, but I'm going to get to the infographics here. So top 5 killings, right? Nigeria is once again the most deadly nation in the world for Christians with 9,814 killings. That's crazy. That's a lot. How much is that a day? Let me see. Well, a month, it's about 817 a month. And let's just divide that. We'll just say by 30 as an average. It's about 27 people.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's crazy, right? Next is the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And next is, what is that?
Mozambique.
Yeah, Mozambique.
I think.
And then Ethiopia. And then Russia. So Nigeria. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so much that even comes out of Nigeria, the scams, all of that type stuff, man. So commentary on killings. You want to read that, babe?
According to the 2025 GCR Red List, Africa remains the deadliest region for believers, with Nigeria ranking as the country where a Christian is most likely to be killed for his or her faith. Between the reporting period of November 2022 to 2024, a devastating total of 9,814 Nigerian Christians were killed. The perpetrators include Islamic extremist groups such as Boko Haram, armed Fulani herdsmen, and the Islamic State's West Africa province. Most of the killings are concentrated in the northern Sharia states, where Christians often live in remote villages in semi-arid landscapes, making them particularly vulnerable to attacks. Despite government assurances that they will defeat the extremists, the violence continues to escalate. Nigeria's grim statistics are unmatched.
That's Sharia. And that has to do with, Sharia law. Things of that sort.
The second deadliest country for Christians on the red list is also located in Africa, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, otherwise known as the DRC. 390 Christians were recorded as killed during the reported period. Most of these deaths occurred in the North Kivu province in the east, a region plagued by more than 100 armed groups. Again, Islamic militant groups like the Allied Democratic France are the main killers, who make a point of targeting at-risk Christians.
All right, we can stop there. I threw you off there, huh? When I scrolled up.
Yeah, well, because can you scroll back down? Did I say the right word? Forces. I said France.
Oh my gosh!
I was like Democratic.
You tried to fill it in?
No, I thought
Allied
it said
Democratic France. Lord Jesus.
Forces.
Yeah. So you can read the rest. Those were the top 2 from there. But yeah, Islamic extremists is huge. All right. So top 5 building attacks. India, 4,949 buildings right? Then Mozambique, Myanmar, Ukraine, and Ethiopia. All right. You can start with India.
India tops the list with 4,949 incidents during the November 2022 to 2024 reporting period, mostly targeting Christian homes. Much of the violence occurred in Manipur, where unrest erupted in May 2023. Rioters driven by Hindu extremists from the Meitei tribe attacked predominantly Christian Kukis, systemically burning churches and setting fire to the homes of believers.
That's crazy.
A Kuki pastor from Imphal shared his harrowing experience. They knew exactly where I lived, and they arrived on trucks with flamethrowers and gas canisters to burn us out of our homes. Chhattisgarh and Uttar Pradesh have also been flashpoints for Hindu extremism, where church leaders and congregants face threats and violence if they will not renounce Christianity.
All right, we can stop there. That's crazy. That's persecution, right? You imagine just... All right, so top 5 arrests. China is harnessing technology to surveil believers, contributing to the arrest of 1,559 Christians. So China, Eritrea, what is that?
Nicaragua.
No, Nicaragua, Russia, North Korea. What did you say?
I said Nicaragua.
Oh, Lord. All right. I'll just read the second paragraph here. Churches are subject to invasive religious regulations enacted in 2018 and during the November 2022 through 2024 reporting period. At least 1,559 Christians, primarily from unregistered churches, were arrested and sentences. I think that that's an interesting point there, right? Because churches have to register there. And I wonder if in America, this is why people are so much against this 501 stuff, is that, you know, if there ever becomes a time where the government becomes hostile towards churches, they know exactly who to target. You know what I mean? Like, you know. But Pastor Wang Yi of Chengdu is currently the most prominent Christian prisoner, serving a lengthy 9-year sentence for inciting subversion of state power and the illegal business activity. In the early church, like, this is where we've lost the context of all of this stuff, that Jesus was creating an alternate empire to the empire that exists. To say Jesus is Lord in that time was to say Caesar is not, because they used to say Caesar is Lord. And that's why Christians were being killed, was they were renouncing Caesar as God of all gods and announcing Jesus is. And this is the same thing, inciting subversion of state power, right? Sources close to Wang Yi cite his faithful disobedience pamphlet as an actual key factor in his arrest. It raises questions of who has final allegiance over the church. Refusing to acknowledge that the government has supremacy invites almost certain arrest. All right, and we're just going to read through these. Actually, I do want to read through this one. So top 5 displacements, 120,001, right? And that is, what is it, Lisa?
I believe it's Azerbaijan.
Oh, there you go, girl.
Is that? I don't know.
I believe it's, I think you're right. But how do you say it?
Azerbaijan.
Yeah, good, Lisa. India, Mozambique, DRC, and Myanmar. And Muslim majority
Azerbaijan
tops the, go ahead.
Tops the 2025 GCR Red List for displacements during the November 2022 to 2024 reporting period. State level pressure forced over 120,000 Armenian Christians residing in the disputed territory of Nagorno-Karabakh to flee. Confronted with military shelling and supply blockades, these ethnic Armenians, one of the world's oldest Christian communities, were forced from their homes. A painful history of genocide against Christians evoked strong memories as a forced migration to neighboring Armenia took place amid the background of the military offensive.
Yeah, and I think this is something that, again, as we, displacement, people being pushed and forced out of their homes because of their faith, and when we talk about, again, here in America, when we talk about border, we tend to think of one people group when we have that conversation, right? But we think of asylum for also countries that are being persecuted, that these laws also affect.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's a lot of people to be displaced, 120,000 Armenian Christians. So praying for them as well. And so abductions and assaults, 9,311. Nigeria again tops this portion here. So, Mexico. That's
interesting.
Very much so. Haiti, trafficking bay. Haiti, Cameroon, and Ethiopia. I want to read what they say about Mexico.
Mexico is a distant second on the red list with 138 verified Christian disappearances from lawless regions.
Yeah, which is still, one more than it needs to be. But 9,311 recorded incidents in Nigeria, and it's the province, West African province, and Al Qaeda affiliates. Yeah, it's horrible. All right. So I just say, go take a look and read. This is very interesting. I was reading a little bit of that. Just take a listen. As Lisa said, pray, move, act, give, whatever's necessary or whatever you feel led to do in this particular situation. So, but thank you again for tuning into the Church Dropout, and we will talk to you soon. God bless.
Good night.